Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And yep, there it is, just like clockwork. Every single week, without fail, the Democrats and their little social media and media puppets roll out the next desperate lie, the next desperate propaganda piece. Yeah, I guess what they were talking about last week didn't exactly stick, and so they're already on to the next thing. It's very obvious these people believe that they can simply keep screaming that the sky is falling. You know, the Chicken Little impression, and the louder they scream, I guess the more people will be convinced of their BS. And so here we go again, but this week's narrative might be one of the dumbest we've seen yet. We got leftoids posting a video of Narendra Modi, Xi Jinping, and Vladimir Putin standing together, and the genius political strategists on the left are now trying to take advantage of the clip, claiming that this is proof of Donald Trump's foreign policy failure. Another clearly pathetic moment that reeks of desperation. They're so clearly grasping at straws, trying to turn every photo, every little video, every clip into the next scandal or into the next piece of outrage. Let's go ahead and tackle this leftist dishonesty and stupidity. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Okay friends, so it's frickin' over. The leftoids have found the clip that proves that Donald Trump is failing. This is a failure of American foreign policy under Donald Trump. Now, first of all, can we please state the obvious? These three men standing together isn't some new shocking phenomenon. Have you moronic leftoids never heard of BRICS? Well, this is a BRICS-led summit, and for those of you big-brain leftoids who are always telling us how educated you are, BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, was an alliance founded in 2009 by none other than Brazil, Russia, India, and China, with of course South Africa added later on. And these events with these particular leaders, well, it's not exactly anything new. In fact, they've been happening for years, for over a decade at this point. These events happened under Joe Biden, they happened under Barack Obama as well, but now that Donald Trump is in office, suddenly it's proof that he's uniting our enemies. Yeah, obviously this is lazy propaganda for people who are too dumb to Google. And you know, the ironic part is that as the left is trying to convince you that Donald Trump is going easy on our enemies, the actual truth is, well, unsurprisingly, the exact opposite. President Trump is going harder on every single one of these countries than Biden ever did. India, for example, has been exploiting Russian crude oil since the Ukraine war started. They've been buying it cheap, refining it, and then flipping it onto the global markets. They've been engaging in arbitrage, pure and simple, subverting the interest of the global community. And guess what? Joe Biden let them do it for 4 frickin' years straight. But guess who's finally cracking down on it? Ding, 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 President Donald J. Trump. He's directly warning India that if they don't stop playing games, they're going to face some serious consequences in trade. He actually just released this post on Truth Social. What few people understand is that we do very little business with India, but they do a tremendous amount of business with us. In other words, they sell us massive amounts of goods, their biggest client, but we sell them very little. Until now, a totally one-sided relationship, and it has been so for many decades. The reason is that India has charged us, until now, such high tariffs, the most of any country that our businesses are unable to sell into India. It has been a totally one-sided disaster. Also, India buys most of its oil and military products products from Russia, very little from the US. They have now offered to cut their tariffs to nothing, but it's getting late. They should have done so years ago. Just some simple facts for people to ponder. So basically, this president's the only one applying appropriate pressure here, yet they tell you he's the foreign policy failure. And of course, if we contrast that with what we just saw under Joe Biden, the man who literally strengthened both Russia and China, by shutting down local pipelines, attacking American energy, Biden and the Democrats' weakness on trade essentially gave Russia and China the upper hand. Joe Biden also refused to ever hold India accountable. I don't think he ever even spoke about the nation. Meanwhile, the entire time they were playing both sides. And of course, I remember covering the headlines. BRICS started expanding quite aggressively under Joe Biden's watch. If you want to talk about being soft on our enemies, emboldening China, Russia, and India, Joe Biden frickin' wrote the textbook. The desperation is unreal. I mean, the left will literally grab at anything and try to spin it into some giant scandal. Here we have a routine BRICS summit, and oh no, it means Donald Trump is secretly handing over the world to foreign dictators. Give me a freaking break. These people are so far gone that they can't even process basic context anymore. Everything's a big scandal, and the orange man is at the core of all of it. But the reality is, the supposedly evil orange man is doing what previous presidents should have done, is doing what previous presidents didn't have the balls to do. And what I'm most happy about these days is that finally somebody's taking on India. You constantly hear this talk as if India is our friend, India is a great ally, but the nation is totally two-faced. And that's the uncomfortable truth that this president is tackling and now saying out loud, that India is not a reliable or good trading partner. They've made a habit of acting in bad faith and running these international scams, manipulating pharmaceutical exports with low standards, counterfeit drugs, undercutting Western markets with subsidized steel, manipulating tariffs while demanding preferential access for their goods, of course. The reality is they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They pose as an ally of the West while simultaneously cutting backroom deals with Russia and China, and actually even Iran when it suits them. And yet again, Donald Trump's the only one who has the guts to say anything about it. But somehow he's a traitor to the nation, right? Somehow he's Putin's puppet. Give me a freaking break. No president has been harder on Russia, India, and China than this president. And not in the same sense as we've seen from the warmongers of the past. Actually, kind of what the leftoids are doing right now with this little piece of propaganda, attempting to create this us versus them dynamic. No, he's not on the path of demonizing and warmongering. No, he's simply demanding that these nations meet basic standards. And if they don't, well, there'll be a price to pay. A far cry from the pathetic foreign policy disasters that we saw under Joe Biden, which again led to a much stronger BRICS than we're currently seeing under President Trump. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Just another bogus, dishonest left-wing narrative. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.